Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
State of Kansas versus Kirk Ray Warren. It's case number 2025 CR 83. Jill Gillette appears as Greenwood County Attorney. Chris Ambrose is defense counsel. Kirk Warren appears from the Greenwood County Jail Zoom location. This matter is scheduled to come before the court at this time for hearing on a defense motion to suppress. What announcement, if any, do you make at this time, Mr. Ambrose? I didn't hear a response because you're muted if you responded.
I am sorry, Your Honor. We're prepared to begin.
Okay. All right. Therefore, the state may call their first witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Deputy Andrews.
Deputy Andrews, if you'd raise your right hand, the court will administer an oath to you. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do, yes.
Very well. You may question the witness, Ms. Gillette.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Deputy Jeremiah Andrews
And how are you employed?
with Greenwood County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been so employed?
About 4.5 years now.
Were you on duty on June 1st of 2025?
I was, yes.
Where did you notice the defendant?
The 200th block of South Mulberry.
And were you where were you sitting when you noticed him?
I believe I was driving by on River Street.
Okay. Is 200 what is in that block?
200th block of South Mulberry. Guess what are you asking?
Were you stationary or were you mobile?
I was mobile.
Okay. And in relation to your patrol car, where was the defendant? Was he north, south, right, or left?
He was south.
Okay. So when you what drew your attention to what the defendant was doing?
He was at a house that I had been investigating for a little bit.
And were you doing surveillance or were you just on normal patrol?
Just normal patrol.
Okay. And what did you do after you noticed he was at that house?
I went and parked somewhere and watched the house.
Okay. Where did you park at?
I don't recall.
Was it in a viewpoint of that house?
Yes.
And when did he approximately leave that house?
I don't recall.
All right. What did you see the defendant do next?
He drove to up around the 1100 block of North Oak.
Did you follow to see where he was going?
I did, yes.
And approximately how far apart would be North Oak from Mulberry Street?
Half a mile.
Okay. When you what did you see him do when he went to the North Oak address?
He got out and spoke with an individual.
Okay. Did he go in the house?
I don't recall.
Okay. Now, did you end up following him further?
I did, yes.
What did he do next?
He went to Casey's next on 7th and Main.
And after he was done at Casey's, Uh, was there anything that you observed after the Casey's location?
Yes, yeah, he left Casey's and went into the alley between Main and Elm Street on 7th.
Did you notice anything unusual when he was at the alley between Main and 7th?
I noticed someone was outside the vehicle.
And what happened when he left the alley at Casey's, the Casey's area?
Sergeant Cordell informed me that he failed to stop leaving the alley.
Okay. Were you able to see him from your vantage point?
Leaving the alley? No, I was not.
Okay. And so after you did Sergeant Cordell call you or radio you?
Radioed me.
Then after he radioed you, did you effectuate a traffic stop?
I did, yes.
All right. When did you activate your license sirens?
Around 3rd and Oak.
Did it take you a bit to catch up to the defendant?
It did, yes.
How far back approximately does your dash cam kick on from the time that you activate your lights and sirens?
I believe 30 seconds to a minute.
Did your camera back up all the way to the defendant pulling out of the alleyway?
No, it did not.
And when you effectuated the traffic stop, where was the defendant when you effectuated the stop?
At 3rd and Oak.
And is there anything of note around the area of 3rd and Oak Street?
Yes, it's about 500 feet from the district office.
Now, did you conduct your traffic stop?
I did, yes.
And what happened while you were conducting your traffic stop?
I asked for driver's license and insurance, which Kirk Warren provided. And then I went back to my vehicle, and Sergeant Cordell and K9 Kilo performed a free air sniff around the vehicle.
Were you engaged in your traffic stop while they did that?
I was, yes.
Did Sergeant Cordell come back and notify you what the results of K9 Kilo's free air sniff was?
Yes, he did.
And what did Sergeant Cordell relate to you?
That it was a positive alert.
Then did you continue with your traffic stop, or did you do something different after the point of getting the notification of the alert?
I continued checking the driving privileges of Kirk Warren.
Did Sergeant Cordell then deal with some of the issues regarding the free air sniff? Did he conduct the search, or did he wait for you to conduct the search?
Oh, I conducted the search.
Was that after you checked Mr. Warren's driving privileges?
Yes.
And when you dealt with the search, did you find items of evidentiary value?
I did, yes.
Then did you field test them?
I did, yes.
Your Honor, I believe I will pass this witness to the defense.
Mr. Ambrose, do you have questions for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Deputy Andrews, you had indicated that this all kind of started. You were driving by on River Street and you noticed a vehicle in front of a house that you've been investigating. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And at some point in this process, you identify you associate this vehicle with Kirk Warren. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So when you drive past this house on River Street, is Mr. Warren in the vehicle at that time?
I don't recall.
Okay. And how long do you, about how long were you, and actually, let me move back a second. I apologize. And so you see this vehicle at this house of interest. Do you stop and kind of observe for a while, or what happens then?
Yes, yeah. Surveil the
Okay.
residence.
And at some point, an individual leaves the residence and goes to the vehicle.
I would assume so. I don't recall.
Okay. And do you remember how long you were there?
I don't.
Okay. So eventually this vehicle gets to moving down the road again. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And you follow the vehicle at that point. Is that right?
that's correct.
Um, you then, the vehicle stops at a second location.
Yes,
And was that in the 1100th block of North Oak?
yes, sir.
Okay. And you recall an individual that someone getting out of the vehicle and speaking with an individual, but you don't recall if they went in the house. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then after that, the vehicle continued on to Casey's at 7th and Main.
Yes,
Okay. Then past that, you have a vehicle leaves Casey's, and as the vehicle leaves Casey's, there's an alley. Is it behind Casey's there?
yes. It's to the east.
Okay. And that's the alley that we're talking about, right?
That is, yes.
Okay. And upon leaving that vehicle leaving the alley, you're notified by Sergeant Cordell that the vehicle failed to stop. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. But you didn't see that?
No, I did not.
Okay. Now, eventually you perform a traffic stop, and you get the license and registration from the driver of the vehicle he identified as Mr. Warren, right?
Yes.
Okay. At what point in this traffic stop does Sergeant Cordell arrive?
I believe I can't speak for that. I know fairly shortly after the stop. I can't tell you exactly when he
Okay.
arrived.
Are we talking within like minutes or like 15 minutes, or how fast?
About minutes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions of this witness. Thank you, Judge.
Anything further for this witness, Ms. Gillette?
Not at that time. We just ask that he remain in case we need rebuttal.
Very well. State may call their next witness.
We'll call Sergeant Cordell.
Okay. Sergeant Cordell would raise his right hand. The court will administer an oath. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Yes, sir.
You may question the witness, Ms. Gillette.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Sergeant Mike Cordell.
How are you employed?
I'm a patrol supervisor and canine handler for the Greenwood County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been so employed?
I've been with Greenwood County approximately 10 years and total law enforcement a little over 22 years.
And are you the patrol sergeant for the shift you were on that night?
Yes, I'm a patrol sergeant for the Sheriff's Office. Yes.
Okay. And who was your canine partner at the time?
Kilo.
Okay. And do you maintain the records on Kilo?
Yes, I do.
And how do you maintain those records on Kilo?
I keep electronic training records through a proprietary application called PackTrack. And then I also have, as far as the certification, I maintain a paper copy as well as a digital copy of those certifications.
And have you when you were on duty, were you contacted or did you hear radio traffic from Deputy Andrews?
Yes, he informed me that he was watching a vehicle that had left a house that we had been conducting surveillance on, and that he told me when he saw the vehicle there, and then also when he began following the vehicle to other locations.
So when he did he indicate that the vehicle had gone to Casey's?
I believe so. I don't recall the specific locations aside from the initial location and the last location.
Okay. Were you near Casey's when the vehicle was in the alley?
I was at the intersection of 7th and Main.
Which direction did the vehicle come out of the alleyway?
The vehicle exited the alley southbound. The alley's approximately a half a block east of Main, and it exited south onto 7th Street and then went west on 7th Street.
Okay. Your Honor, I have a map that is pulled up of that area of Eureka. I'd ask to be able to share it so that Sergeant Cordell could direct us on the map as to where he saw the vehicle. Permission to share screen.
Any objection by the defense?
No, Your Honor.
You may put up the map, Ms. Gillette.
I've sent a share screen request for Mandy. All right. Can you see the map okay, Your Honor?
I can.
Okay. Sergeant, could you indicate on the map by description of where approximately that alleyway is located?
Yes, I'm working on a pretty small screen, and as I'm getting older, that's a little harder to see, but I can see it okay. So you see the blue marker north of that intersection of 7th and Main. So south of that is a parking lot. That's where I was sitting facing east. That long building right there on the northeast corner of 7th and Main. On the east side of that building is the alleyway that he came out of.
Okay. So the dot that you're talking about is the one that's to the left of Main Street?
Yes.
Okay. And so that parking lot just south of that building, that's where you were located?
The parking lot on the southwest corner of that intersection, there's a laundromat right there. So you can park basically at the intersection, but not in the roadway.
All right. So you were in the laundromat's parking lot?
Yes.
All right. And so did you have a clear view of the alleyway?
Very clear view. That long horizontal building right there is actually set back to the north of the roadway, and there is a very wide sidewalk area, I guess for lack of a better term. It's a paved area right there on the south side of that building, so it's actually set back from the roadway. You have a very clear view of the alleyway and the intersection of the alleyway and the roadway from where I was at.
Okay. And what did you witness as the defendant left the alleyway?
The vehicle came south in the alleyway and then entered the roadway without coming to a stop.
And was your vehicle pointed north or south or east or west? What direction were you facing?
It would have been northeast, probably east northeast. So favoring the east direction, so I can see through the windshield.
Okay. And was his exit from the alleyway caught on your dash camera?
So the dash cameras go back 1 minute. The body cameras go back 30 seconds, and the dash cameras go back 1 minute from the time that that there's an event at turning your lights on or something like that. My camera actually initiates as I'm westbound on 7th Street approaching Oak and turning south to go to the traffic stop. So it's not on the dash cam recording.
Okay. And then, want to talk a little bit more when you got to the traffic stop. Approximately what time did you get there?
I'd have to look at the time on my dash camera, but I arrived while Deputy Andrews was still making his initial contact at the driver's side window.
And do you deploy Kilo while anyone's outside of the vehicle?
I can. Typically, I wait until the deputy walks away from the car.
Did you do that here?
My apologies. My phone was ringing. It's taking you off the screen there. Just a moment. Okay. Got that fixed. Yes, I waited till he was away from the vehicle.
All right. Is Kilo trained as a dog to subdue defend suspects?
Yes.
So is it safer to make sure no one's around the vehicle?
As a general rule, yes. It's better to not have somebody right there next to where he's working.
Now, did you, when you deployed K9 Kilo, do you mark the time, the location, and the date?
Yes,
And do you keep routine training logs?
I do.
And do you keep routine, keep your certifications?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the share of the map, Your Honor. Do you, when you keep these records, how do you keep them?
They're on that app that I was talking about, PackTrack. It's a internet-based proprietary app for law enforcement to track canine records and deployments.
And have you provided the county attorney's office a copy of your and Kilo's certification as a canine officer pair?
Yes.
When were you certified most recently with Kilo?
Prior to this stop, would have been between the dates of April 28th and May 2nd was the Kansas Police Dog Association spring training and certification.
And did you conduct any of the trainings between that time frame and the stop?
Yes, I actually did a detection training the night before this. It would have been on May 31st.
And did you provide a true and accurate copy of those records?
I believe I provided you with a copy of that training record, but I know I provided you with a copy of the certification.
And are they true and accurate copies?
Yes.
Have there been any modifications, corrections, or additions to them?
No.
Would they reflect the way they were at the time accurately?
Yes.
Your Honor, we've moved to admit the training certification, and the last training record before this would be the only one between the certification and this deployment. We'd move to admit those into evidence.
Any objection by the defense?
And just so we're on the same page, Ms. Gillette, that's the thing that I was sent earlier today, correct?
Correct.
Without objection.
Very well. Those documents will be admitted into evidence.
Your Honor, we would screen share and ask to publish those to the court.
You may do so.
There we go. You should. I'm gonna make the size smaller, so hopefully you can see it better, Your Honor. Or is that probably too small? Can you see that? Okay. For some reason, my screen did not rotate them.
Mr. Leonard, I'm looking for a date on the certificate. Okay,
The
I see
date-
it now.
Are right below the names. Sergeant, is this the certificate you received from the Kansas Police Dog Association?
That is the certificate of attendance to the spring training. Yes, there's also a separate document that shows the certification for the specific odors, which you should have. I sent those to you as a package.
And I don't know if I have that. All right. This is is this the training report that you sent for the training you conducted?
Yes,
What was the date of this training?
May 31st.
Where did you conduct that training?
At the sheriff's office.
And is it more of a controlled environment when you conduct trainings?
Yes, it's a sterile environment where I know there's no other drug odors and where there's no people present or any other hazards.
All right. Your Honor, have you been able to review that sufficiently, or do you need it to remain on the screen?
You can remove it from the screen if you so desire.
Thank you. And Your Honor, the map is a demonstrative, so it doesn't really have an exhibit number, but we're going to mark the certification and training logs as Exhibit 1.
Very well.
Okay. And Sergeant, when Kilo was deployed on this instance, did he give an alert?
Yes, he gave a positive alert and final indication at the rear seam of the driver's side front door.
And what is Kilo's basic alert type behavior?
So alert behavior is a noticeable change in their behavior when they detect an odor. So it varies depending on the environment and the wind conditions and things like that. But you'll see a general stiffening of the body and the tail, and what we call a head snap, where they're going by an area and they'll snap their head back to that area as they detect that odor. And then they do what's called bracketing, which sometimes you see, sometimes you don't, depending on how close to the source of the odor they are, which is where they'll kind of sniff back and forth until they find the strongest source of the odor.
Now, is the final indication, what does that do?
So the final indication is not a necessary step, but it's a final trained response. And what that is the dog is trained that when they locate what they believe to be the strongest source of the odor, then they exhibit a specific trained behavior to let the handler know that they're done searching. And for both Kilo and my current canine Kraken, that final trained indication is to sit.
And does an odor at a seam necessarily indicate that the drug is right at the seam or the spot in the vehicle?
No. So the strongest source of the odor is the place where the odor is emanating from the vehicle the strongest, which a lot of times is going to be the door seam or the holes where the door handles go through the door panel. So the odor escapes the vehicle through openings that allow air to escape. And so depending on wind conditions and how air is moving in a vehicle, whether the air conditioner or heater is on at the time, windows down, things like that, it'll cause the odor to escape in different locations. Usually it's going to be through the door seams and the door handles.
Is there a specific amount of drug that there has to be present for a dog to alert?
No, the dog alerts to the odor of the drug, not the presence of the drug. So we train on trace odor all the way up to pounds of drugs, so that way the dog gets accustomed to the difference between a large amount of odor and a small amount of odor.
Can the dog alert to an odor even if an item has been removed?
If the item was there recently enough. So the way I explain it to people on the side of the road, so that they can understand how the dog works. The way I explain it is, if you go and you buy fast food from McDonald's, it comes in a paper bag. You eat the food out of that bag. That bag is going to still smell like McDonald's food for a little while. That odor eventually fades. When it comes to drug odor, it's such a minute odor. The odor doesn't stay for an exceptional amount of time. But it will stay for a little while after a drug is removed.
Your Honor, I will pass this witness to the defense.
Very well. Mr. Ambrose, you may question the witness.
Thank you, Judge. Sergeant Cordell, I'm going to start us off with you sitting at the southwest of the intersection of 7th and Main, okay?
Okay.
Okay. And just to help my memory, you had indicated that that was in the parking, you were sitting in the parking lot of what's a laundromat there in town. Is that right?
Yeah. So basically just right at the southwest corner of that intersection, close to the roadway.
Okay. And then catty corner across from you is that long rectangular building that we saw on the map. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Adjacent to that building is an alley, correct?
Yes.
And on the north end of that alley is the Casey's that we've heard testified about too today, right?
The backside of the Casey's, yes.
Okay. And so you were stationary in that parking lot. You testified that you saw the vehicle that has been identified as driven by Mr. Warren go down that alley. I guess it would be going south down that alley. Is that right?
So Deputy Andrews had observed the vehicle in the alley and was concerned that they might have seen it where he was sitting and wouldn't leave if he was there. So I took a position at that southwest corner of the intersection so that I could see the exit from the alley because the vehicle was facing south.
Okay.
And then I observed the vehicle as it went past the corner of that building prior to entering the roadway is where I first observed it.
Okay. And so you saw as the vehicle went past that long rectangular building that we'd been talking about into the roadway then, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So during that time period, did you see the vehicle stop at all?
No.
What did you see the vehicle do as it went south out of that alley onto the roadway?
I just continued to drive from the alley into the roadway without stopping.
Okay. Now, where, and just so we're clear, we, in that map that we saw, it looked like there was some gap between where your line of sight with that building would have started and the roadway begins. Is that right?
I guess I'm not understanding the specifics of the question.
Okay. Let me re-ask it, see if I can do better. Is there like a sidewalk there along the roadway on that street?
I use the term sidewalk because it is a concrete paved area, but there's not a sidewalk. It's just a paved area on the south side of that building that's similar construction to a sidewalk, but very wide. I mean, it's wide enough that we've parked a large fire truck on that concrete between the building and the roadway. So it's a large area of paved section. It's not a sidewalk though.
Okay. And I guess my question's this: if in that space, is there room for a person to stop before they turn onto the roadway there then?
There is room to stop prior to entering the roadway. As you're exiting the alley, I guess. I'm not sure if that answers the question you're asking.
I think it does. Thank you. And so your testimony is you observed the vehicle not stop at the intersection or not stop at the end of the alley. And then you contact Deputy Andrews and inform him that a traffic violation occurred. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Then you start heading back to where Deputy Andrews is at, where a traffic stop has been effectuated.
Yeah, so when I turned south, he was just beginning to initiate his traffic stop. And so I got there shortly after the vehicle came to a stop.
Okay. And at that point, you get Kilo out of your patrol vehicle.
Yes.
Okay. And you conduct a free air sniff at that point.
Yes.
I guess technically Kilo conducts a free air sniff. You guide Kilo through the
Right.
process of conducting a free air sniff.
Yes.
And when you did that free air sniff, where did you start? What part of the vehicle did you start the free air sniff at?
The rear bumper, probably the driver's side. That's typically what I do unless there's some egregious wind condition that dictates otherwise. But it would have been the driver's side corner of the rear bumper.
Okay. And then you take Kilo around the vehicle.
Yes.
Okay. And you had indicated that at the rear seam of the driver's front door, Kilo alerts.
Yes.
Okay. So you would just so I understand, you start at the rear bumper and then you go up towards the driver's side. So you don't get very far along the car before Kilo alerts. Then is that right?
No, I actually worked my way around counterclockwise. So he would have checked the rear of the vehicle, up the passenger side of the vehicle, around the front of the vehicle, and then back down the driver's side until he got to that rear seam of the driver's side front door. So almost all the way around the vehicle.
Okay. I don't believe I have any further questions, Judge.
Ms. Gillette, any follow-up questioning for Sergeant Cordell?
Now, Sergeant, just I'm gonna put back up the map for a second. All right. So are you able to see my cursor as the little plus sign?
No, it's
No. Okay. So I don't know how to get you to do that. So for the end of the building that is north of 7th Street there, do you know approximately, and I know it's going to be a guesstimate, how wide that area is to the corner from the edge of the building?
I don't know the measurement. Like I said, I mean, I've seen a school bus park entirely off the roadway on that paved area. I've seen a fire truck parked there. We do sort of parade for home games sometimes, and I've seen large vehicles parked completely off the roadway between the building and the roadway on that. So I mean, it's a fairly wide paved area. That's where we begin all of those processions. So it gets utilized for that sometimes. I've parked my patrol car there. It's pretty wide.
Okay. No further questions.
Any follow-up from you, Mr. Ambrose?
No recross for me out of that last couple questions there, Judge. Thank you.
Very well. Does the county attorney's office intend to call any further witnesses at this hearing?
We do not, Your Honor. We will rest.
Mr. Ambrose, do you intend to present evidence at this hearing?
I'd like to speak with my client for just a minute if I could have a breakout room.
The court will
Thank you,
allow
Judge.
it. All right, following a brief recess where there was an opportunity for a private attorney-client conversation, we're back on the record in the Warren case. Ms. Gillette, Mr. Ambrose, Mr. Warren appearing as before. Following this break, what announcement is made by the defense?
Your Honor, at this point, we're going to call Mr. Warren to testify.
Very well. All right. Mr. Warren,
Yes, sir.
you understand that you're not required to testify in a criminal case. If you do decide to testify, it's at your own choice. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You further understand that any testimony you give could conceivably be used to assist the state in establishing your guilt as you're accused of a crime. You understand that?
Yes.
But taking into account a potential risk that you're going to say something that would be harmful to your case, you're wanting to testify at this motion to suppress. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you also understand that within certain limitations, the prosecutor also would have the opportunity to ask you questions?
Yes.
All right, very well. And you, again, have decided on your own, it's your personal choice to go ahead and testify in your case. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Very well. Then if you'll raise your right hand, Mr. Warren, the court will administer an oath. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in the matter now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
You may question the witness, Mr. Ambrose.
Yes. Could you please state your name for the record?
Kirk Ray Warren.
And you're the defendant in this case, is that right, Mr. Warren?
Yes, sir.
And you've been here this afternoon while we've heard other testimony regarding this matter.
Yes.
Okay. And have you heard some testimony regarding a vehicle you were driving, exiting the corner, exiting 7th and Main Street there in Eureka, Kansas?
You mean coming out of the alleyway?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. What is your recollection of how that exit of that alleyway went down?
You mean, did I stop or not? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Or-
my question for you, sir, is what do you remember about leaving that alleyway? What steps did you take or did you not take?
I stopped and looked both directions. It just got dark. Didn't see a car in sight.
Okay. And do you recall where you stopped in that at that intersection?
I don't remember if it was back by the building or out by the street, because there is there's like he said, there's a cement slab there with, like in front of that building. But I did stop. I don't break any violations of driving. I don't speed. I don't do none of that stuff.
And you had testified then that you had stopped and looked both ways.
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do after you stopped and looked both ways?
Well, then I come on out of the alley and went west to Oak Street and then down Oak Street from 7th down here to 3rd Street when Mr. Andrews stopped me.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions for this witness.
Ms. Gillette, do you have any questions along those lines?
I do not.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank
That
you, Judge.
concludes Mr. Warren's testimony at this time. Mr. Ambrose, do you intend to present further evidence at this hearing?
No, Your Honor.
Any rebuttal evidence that you intend to present at this hearing, Ms. Gillette?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. Well, yes, let me briefly call Sergeant Cordell.
Sergeant Cordell, if you could rejoin the meeting fully. Sergeant Cordell, I will remind
Yes.
you that you remain under oath. Go ahead, I need to see you.
Yes, sir. Give me just a moment here. I thought I was done, so I started driving south, but I will pull over right here. I don't want to drive while I'm testifying.
That's appreciated.
You hear me okay?
Okay, I think we're good now. Ms. Gillette, you may resume your questioning of Sergeant Cordell.
The Sergeant, I just have a couple brief questions. If someone stopped before the corner of that building, would they be able to look both ways?
No, ma'am.
And if he had stopped after the building, would you have been able to see him?
Yes, ma'am. It was dark out and the vehicle had its lights on, and I would have been able to see the vehicle stop. It did not stop after passing the corner of that building.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Ambrose?
Nothing from me, Judge. Thank you.
Very well. And that concludes the second portion of Sergeant Cordell's testimony. Anything further from the state, Ms. Gillette?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Ambrose?
Nothing further, Judge. Just statements.
Very well. The court would find some brief summary argument from each party to be helpful. We'll begin with Ms. Gillette on behalf of the state, as they have the burden of proof here.
Your Honor, a traffic stop is allowed, even if it is pretextual. State versus Brewer says that a traffic stop is a seizure under the purview of the Fourth Amendment. In order to stop a vehicle, an officer must have articulable facts sufficient to constitute reasonable suspicion that the operator of the vehicle is committing, has committed, or is about to commit a crime. A traffic violation provides an objectively valid reason to effectuate a traffic stop, even if the stop is pretextual. It has been known that vehicles have been followed for 15 miles and there was a traffic infraction. It was stopped that long. We don't have that here. This vehicle proceeded to go all over town, more than one place of known drug activity that was being watched. That's what drew the original attention to the vehicle. But the vehicle failed to stop at the alleyway. Sergeant Cordell was parked in a way to watch that alleyway in case they tried to not exit or do something different, because Deputy Andrews was up on the north end of the block watching the alleyway that way. Traffic stop was conducted and a valid free air sniff was conducted of the vehicle with an alert. The certifications and trainings of this team has been done. They completed the 27 hours between 4/28 of 25 and 5/2 of 2025, hosted by the Butler County Training Group in Butler County. And that certificate was shown of their training, and a report was also shown. And routine trainings is all that is required. It doesn't subscribe in the case law as to a specific amount of training. In this case, approximately a month has gone by and there was already one training conducted in that month. Therefore, that is what meets the gold standard in Florida v. Harris as to what is required. Deployment logs are not required, although Sergeant Cordell does keep deployment logs. Real life situations have been denied to be what the standard is, and the controlled trainings are what the standards are for training logs. The certification is there, and we have shown both of those as Exhibit 1, containing 3 pages. In State v. Brewer, and I will give you that site, it is 49 Can App 2nd, 102, 305 Pacific 3rd, 676, 2013. The courts quote several cases regarding stops. Mr. Brewer had contested his stop several times. The officer in that case had followed the vehicle 6 or 7 blocks and the vehicle pulled into the driveway of a residence where the driver got out and tried to go in the house. And the traffic stop was effectuated actually in the driveway. So it was a significant amount of blocks that the car was followed. While the other officer was writing a citation, Carswell used his canine and conducted a free air sniff of that vehicle. It was 10 to 12 minutes after the vehicle stop. We don't have that here. This is pretty much immediate. Sergeant Cordell arrives while Deputy Andrews is still at the window and waits for him to get back to his car to run the license information before he approaches the vehicle. So he's right there right away. The gold standard again on canines is the Florida v. Harris standards. The state of Kansas had adopted those in State v. Barker. That's 252 CAN 949. That's 850 Pacific 3rd 885, and that's back in 1993. We continue to have the standards from Florida v. Harris and the Barker case. In this case of Brewer cites all of them and continues to hold them up as good law. United States versus Salgado is the case, and State versus Nguyen, Nguyen. Both of those cases say that real life probabilities are not anything to be argued. It's that the routine trainings and certifications are occurring, which have both happened here. In fact, the dog had just recently been certified, barely a month or a little over a month prior to this stop. Therefore, we would ask the court to find that the stop was appropriate and that the alert of the canine is appropriate, and that therefore all of the evidence found within the vehicle is also appropriate. The officer testified, and we put up the demonstrative map so the court could clearly understand how far back this building is from the corner of that alleyway. If someone stopped behind that building, they would be significantly further back. The width of a fire truck, the width of a patrol car, the width of a bus. This is a very wide concrete slab that's to the south of this building, from the edge of the building to the corner of the alleyway. If someone stopped that far back, they couldn't clearly see around the corner of that building, and the map clearly shows how close that building's edge is to the alleyway and how far back it is from the corner. And so Sergeant Cordell would have had a clear shot to be able to see whether that vehicle stopped. And again, the lights were on as he testified. The vehicle did not stop, and that is why the traffic stop was effectuated on his vehicle. We'd ask the court to deny the motion to suppress.
Very well, Ms. Gillette. Mr. Ambrose?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. I'm going to hit two main points in my summation. First off, based upon the testimony we heard from Mr. Warren himself this afternoon, he did completely stop at that intersection. Accordingly, no traffic violation occurred. The traffic stop was inappropriate. And because of that, the evidence should be suppressed. However, alternatively, if the court doesn't find that compelling, I'd point towards the training records and certificate of training and attendance that we were provided by the state. And I think that what they marked as Exhibit 1, that did provide a training report from May 31st, which was a day before the stop. Also, it provided a Kansas Police Dog Association certificate of training and attendance. That 27 hours of training was completed from April 28th to May 2nd of 25, involving K9 Kilo and Sergeant Cordell. However, we were not provided the certification that the dog was recertified at that time. Accordingly, I think without that certification, there brings about significant enough questions that suppression is the appropriate remedy at this point. Those are our 2 points of concern this afternoon.
Mr. Ambrose, are you suggesting that the canine that was certified a month earlier had lost certification between, I believe, May 2nd and June the 1st?
Well, not that, Your Honor, but my contention is that while a certificate of training and attendance was provided, no certificate of recertification was provided for that dog.
Certificate of recertification.
There was no verification of the recertification for the smells themselves provided. During Sergeant Cordell's testimony, he had stated that he had provided that to the state. However, that was not in the packet that was Exhibit 1 today.
Ms. Gillette, your response?
I think that Sergeant Cordell was having a hard time seeing on his screen because the certificate, let me pop it back up on the screen for Your Honor so you can see it. Because I had to actually have this certificate for a prior case where they asked for the certificate of training. And this is actually the certificate of training. When you look right here, this is the certificate of training and attendance. It's to certify that Mike Cordell and K9 Kilo completed the 27 hours on 4/28/2025 through 5/2/2025. And then who hosted it, which is the Butler County Training Group in Butler County. And the topics included, and it gives all of the different topics that were included, and it is signed by the president and vice president of the Kansas Police Dog Association. The certificate of training and attendance.
Very well, Mr. Light. You can take down the screen share at this time. Very well. For having heard the arguments of the parties in the case, the court is prepared to rule at this time. First of all, the court rules at this time that the stop of Mr. Warren's vehicle was based on the viewing of a traffic infraction by a law enforcement officer, which creates legal grounds for a vehicle stop. The issue of credibility is resolved in favor of the officer. Sergeant Cordell, the court finds him to be more credible. Now, while the court would have preferred in the era of dash cam and body cam to have actually had a recording of what the officer was viewing, in light of the circumstances before the court nevertheless resolves that issue of credibility in favor of law enforcement and the state, and therefore finds that the stop of the vehicle was justified. Further, the court finds that there is no evidence in the record to support a finding that the stop was unreasonably extended to allow for the free air sniff by the drug dog. Third, the court finds at this time that the dog and its handler were qualified by training and experience to do this free air sniff of Warren's vehicle, which eventually led to the detection of drugs. Therefore, the court denies the defense motion to suppress evidence in this case. The case remains on this court's trial docket. I do want to review the dates that have been previously established. I think we're on the July jury trial docket for July 21st at 9 o'clock.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mandy, do we have an updated pretrial conference date close in proximity to that time?
Yes, Judge, on July 16th at 10 a.m.
Very well. Pretrial conference will be July 16th, 10 o'clock a.m. by Zoom. Jury trial, obviously, for all stages will be in person. Encourage the parties to confer to see if there might be some way to dispose of this case short of trial. Obviously, I'm sure in with diligence and in good faith, each party will pursue that. All right. Ms. Gillette, is there anything further from the state's perspective that the court needs to address at this time?
I don't believe so, since we have dates for jury trial.
Mr. Ambrose, anything further at this juncture?
Nothing for me. If I could have the breakout room for a couple minutes with Mr. Warren when we're completed, I'd appreciate it. If your calendaring for the day allows that, Your Honor, because I know
We can accommodate that, counsel. And
Thank you, Judge.
when the court recesses, the rest of us will leave the meeting, and then you can have your breakout session with your client.
Thank you, Judge.
The Kirk Warren case is currently in recess. We'll leave the meeting open to allow for an attorney-client conference.
Kirk rolled out the alley right onto the street, but Mike saw him failing to stop on his beat. The lights flickered on and they pulled the car near, and Kilo the dog made the evidence clear. The motion to suppress was denied by the court because of the facts in the legal report. So always brake fully or your drive will be short.